Some people find their bottom in a jail cell. Some people even find it in a hospital bed. Well, guess what? My guest today found his in the middle of a hurricane, and he'll tell you it was no accident. I'm Josh Torbish. Today on Behind the Citgo, we're going to tune in with Aaron Martin. He fought addiction from middle school until he was 30. He lost the military, his marriage, his home, and even for a while his kids. Then, through some things that you just can't explain and some things you absolutely can't, everything turned. This is a story of how far a person can fall and how God can meet you right there in the middle of the storm. Let's get into it. Welcome to Behind the Citgo, where we pull back the curtain on the unseen truth of addiction recovery and talk about things most people never get a chance to see. I'm your host, Josh Torbich. Each week, we're sitting down with people who lived it, led it, and are still learning from it today. This isn't polished, it's real, it's raw, and it's noted in the faith and hope because we do recover. So whether you're in recovery, walking alongside someone who is, or just trying to understand what healing really looks like, you came to the right place. Let's dig in. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Another episode of Behind the Citgo. Really glad that you plugged in. I got good news. If you're not watching us on YouTube and you're just tuning in through podcast, you're going to miss out on the good news because there is a new cactus that's sitting on the table. Aaron, you see the cactus?
I see the cactus.
Shout out to John Long for making the cactus in the middle of the table. You can see that we're expanding the things that we offer you as far as the visual appeal goes. Leave a comment in the section below on what kind of plant we should ask John to go find next week to put in the middle of the table. And I'm sure that he would enjoy that thoroughly to go find those things.
It's okay if you don't like cactuses, which I don't.
It's a way be turned. So this is what we found out with Aaron this morning. Aaron comes, sits down at the table, sees the cactus, and he goes, "Oh, can we get that cactus away?" And then it just blew John's mind.
Yeah.
Because John built today's entire filming set around this cactus.
Yeah.
So the first guest being scared of cactuses doesn't help.
Yeah.
So some things just aren't meant to work is what the problem is. So as we talk today, Aaron, I'm going to keep sliding the cactus closer to you.
Okay. Keep me on my toes.
Yeah, there you go. It'll keep you sharp today.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, this is Aaron Martin, really good friend of mine. Very proud graduate of Christian Recovery Centers. For those of you who might have attended our gala last year, you got to hear a big piece of his story.
No.
Thank you for doing that for us, by the way.
It was a pleasure. It's always a privilege anytime I get to share what God's done for me, and especially give back to you guys at CRCI, which has been instrumental.
Yeah, my favorite part was after you finished your story, and then you kind of awkwardly were in limbo while you were coming off because we had a surprise for you.
Yeah, you rolled out the video that you had my wife and my kids leave a sweet little message for me, which like I didn't see coming, and I even tried to escape because it was like something feels weird and I just need to keep walking. And then that rolled out and just melted my heart.
Yeah, we still got the footage of it too. You know what we'll do with the video? We'll get it from our YouTube channel and we'll post it in the comment section below because it was very heartwarming.
Yeah,
to see your whole team proud of you. You're one of my favorite stories to interact with. I hate to say it like this, but I use it all the time whenever I'm talking places. I was just preaching at a church up in Porter Baptist Church up in Stanley County, and I told your story about how you stepped into the chapel the very first day that you got to the program. I was preaching a sermon about the God of restoration, and you just shook your head no, like this. Not a very encouraging thing to preach to.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, arriving there, I wasn't in the mode of like, "Hey God, I can't wait to see the things you have in store for me." It was like, why am I here? Who are these people? Why are you all smiling? So.
And who's this big fella at the front preaching about a God of restoration after all of this stuff just got stripped out of my life? Probably didn't sit too well on day one. It was pretty close to day one of rehab for you.
Yeah, I mean, of course, my whole mindset was, if you knew where I had just come from and what I've been going through, like, wouldn't be relevant for me. Like, let me get to the next topic for sure.
Yeah, this isn't going to work. I know God might be a God of restoration for some folks, but if you only knew my situation,
Yes.
that's too much of a heavy lift for God.
Yeah.
Well, before you got there, and one of the most interesting parts about your story is God sent a hurricane to get you sober. So, to set the stage for the conversation today where we get to hear your story, you got to tell us about that. Talk to us about this hurricane.
Yeah, so I mean it kind of comes in towards the end of the new beginning, and I was at an apartment complex that I had recently been evicted from. When I say recently, like 2 days prior, and it was because me and this group of people I was living with really haven't paid anything in like 6 months, but we've kind of managed to just like stay in there. And they even locked the doors like a month prior, but we just ended up finding ways to get in and out of this apartment complex. So here comes, at the time, 2016 Hurricane Matthew. And I am at this point just completely all alone. I'm the last one of the herd that was still like in the apartment complex that's just like, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. And here comes Hurricane Matthew. And it was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and I find myself going from building to building. It's all outdoors, so I'm just back and forth between each building, trying to get under whatever stairway there is, that the wind and water is not sideways, like trying to like go through my skin. And
Detoxing?
still not at that moment. I mean, still probably had a little bit of heroin the night before, so it
Okay.
hasn't fully hit yet.
Yeah, you're not
And
fully in the withdrawals
right,
yet.
yeah. So I was still running on fumes there. But so I'm bouncing around, and just it kind of like this sensation came over me, and for the first time, and I didn't know what this meant at the time, but all of a sudden I remember thinking, as I'm literally in the middle of this storm, like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't know what I'm done with, but like, this is it. Like, I'm ready to just give up. And shortly following that just moment of clarity, I thought about this detox facility that was about 2.5, 3 miles away from this apartment complex that I frequented over the years, in and out of rehab and detox, stuff like that. And so it just popped in my head. And just in case the story is not very interesting, I was also barefoot during this endeavor.
That just brought it from like a 5 to
Yeah.
a 10. Especially for a guy like me who's tender-footed.
Yeah.
My parents never let me run barefoot in the woods. So I'm not a barefoot person anywhere. The beach. I'll go barefoot at the beach, but that's about it. So yeah. No shoes.
No shoes. Those got left in this motel that I had to hurry up and evacuate like the day before when I was visiting.
I mean, if
Different
anybody
story.
isn't getting the picture of like, I'm just picturing this in my mind.
Yeah.
And like, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
there's nobody else around probably. Everybody's gone.
No, it's
It's bare
gone.
streets.
It's just me. And so barefoot, 2.5, 3 mile walk, I just start trucking it to this detox facility because I just wanted somewhere to just like rest. I wanted to not be in a hurricane. I wanted to not be just, I just wanted to lay down, sit down, warm clothes, and just rest.
Yeah, go hunker down.
And that came to me. So that's where I hid, and that's where it began.
So you're traveling down the street. You had a couple miles that you had to hoof it, right? And you get into the detox, and you're not really keenly looking for a life change. You're really just looking for an immediate resource type of thing, like you're over the current situation.
Yes. I mean, I just wanted to sleep. I can't really tell you at that point the last time like I had more than like an hour nap, So I just wanted to sleep. I wanted to take a shower. I wanted to not be in the same clothes I've been in for a week.
Oh, yeah. When you think about the folks who are coming into the programs, there's there's a whole story of what got you to this point,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what most people, I like to start framing up this place of desperation, because when you hear that, it's almost like me, I'm a little bit desensitized because there's 100 different versions of that story that I've
Yeah.
heard before breakfast most days. But there is such a level of intensity
Mm-hmm.
when people are at that turning point, like that crossroads where they're finally at that bottom. Is that your description of your rock bottom? Like that was as bad as it gets?
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said, there's so much that fed into that.
Yeah.
But
So
the
talk to me a little bit about that. You found yourself starting to use drugs and alcohol in middle school. Is
mhm.
that fair?
Yeah, definitely middle school, and I mean, just like every other most typical addicts, at least ones that have been in the addiction process since early age, I just very much so just could not find that place where I fit in. Just had that giant hole inside of me that nothing was ever good enough. I was never good enough. I just things weren't working for me. And so I don't know. I think one of the earliest memories I have is group of guys at my house spend the night, like maybe seventh, eighth grade, and we stole a bunch of beer from my parents. And drinking that, it was like instantly, I was like, wow, okay, this is what I've been missing. Like it's just kind of like this overwhelming sense of like, these are my friends. This is what I was meant to do, was have a good time, and that stuff helps.
Yeah.
And that's so moving from that time in my life, being that young, I mean, it was just, the chase was on. It was just nonstop, like no matter what stage of life, no matter what obstacle, good, bad, whatever the occasion was, like that feeling was just in my mind a necessity to just be able to participate in whatever the occasion was.
Yeah. Wow. And you step out of that. It always, like, this is the joke that we make. It always starts out as a party.
Mm.
When did it start turning not so much into a party for you? Like when did the consequences start catching up to you of your addictions and the different things you were experimenting with? It happened inside of the military school exchange.
Well, I think that was when I mean, right before I graduated high school, and obviously like alcohol turned into drugs, prescription, whatever the case, all the things that you could access usually inside the house. And I think that I certainly started getting in trouble before I graduated high school. I actually got arrested my first time when I was 17 years old for breaking and entering.
Mm.
Um, and it was my next door neighbor's house. And I went in there and we stole a bunch of his guns. Now, in my defense, I was also starting to get cocaine from him at that point in time. So we originally went in there for that. And then when we couldn't find that,
You couldn't
the
find the
guys were like, oh,
cocaine.
well, let's just take all this stuff.
Okay.
So, Felly
Seems logical.
you,
Okay.
you know,
Makes sense.
so, because we're gonna sell all this stuff, and then we're gonna get a
And
lot
then
of
we'll
drugs.
get cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we, so that was a nice way to get charged with a felony breaking and entering, like right out of high school.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Things slowed down from there, obviously, like trouble wise. It was a minor wake up call, and then things weren't really doing much more in my life. So I got to a point. My stepdad was like, "So you're leaving the house?
Mhm.
What are you doing?"
Mm.
And I had absolutely no idea.
No
So I
idea.
was like, well, I guess I'm going to join the military. Random thought. It happened. I went, and graduating boot camp was probably the first time that I had ever really accomplished anything in my life.
Wow.
The only meaningful thing that I can ever look back and say like, wow, I did something. I mean, that was it. And so I graduated that, and obviously I did it sober because you're not doing anything while you're in boot camp. And so coming out of there was hope. And it was shortly met by when any kind of opposition hit, I was back to looking for the same things that I knew worked, right?
Okay.
And it was drugs and alcohol. Spiraling down quickly, arrested for like drinking underage on base, fighting. Got on my first deployment, got caught drunk when I was supposed to be at watch. I was passed out in my rack on a boat while out at
Oh,
sea.
no.
And that was kind of the final straw that broke the camel's back there. Captain's mask, get back, and they actually gave me an opportunity. Like, do you want to be in the military? And I said, I don't think I do. And they said, well, we can help you with that. And they like locked me up and took my pay for like 3 months and then processed my discharge. And coming out of that was when things really started getting rocky because, like I just said, it was the one time that I felt like I'd actually accomplished something.
Yeah.
And I just like, when that got taken away, then it was just like I was left with the raw realization that, again, I wasn't enough, I wasn't adequate, and there's just no hope. Where do we go from here? Back to the same old guy, and then got to go and find the same old fix. The only thing I knew that could find some relief.
And I'll tell you what, man, you're singing the song like as you tell his story, a lot of people they don't think of how easy it is to find yourself giving up your life to certain situations that only lead into that place where it's more so a pause for the cause.
Mm.
Like the realist version of you is still deep down there somewhere. And as soon as it gets the opportunity to grab a hold of that old solution, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, again, it's going to go. It's going to, mash the go button. And me and most people, even if they've taken a reprieve from active use or active addiction for years, sometimes if they never get well, they pick up right where they left off.
Yeah.
And that's a tough pill for us to swallow, especially in today's society, because most people track sober days. So how frustrating is it to know that even if you're sober for a period of time, it doesn't mean you're well.
Yeah.
I think about the big book and how it talks about surrendering your will and your life inside of that step 3 context. And when you make a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God, most people understand really genuinely what it looks like to surrender your life because it's so easy.
Yeah.
You want to surrender your life, it's really easy. Go punch a cop in the face and you'll surrender your life. Like, I guarantee you, the cops will take you,
Yeah.
cuff you, and they will make you do whatever they're going to want you to do after that experience. And your version of surrender in your life was the military.
Yeah.
Going into there, and I guarantee you, they told you what to do, when to do it, and how to do all of those things. But it's the will, the thing that always gets us in trouble, the expectations of where we expect our life to go. That's the thing we're usually retaining. So, all of that stuff led you into that place to where you were stuck and the bottom fell out from under you. And now you're contemplating this detox program. The storm's going on, Hurricane Matthew in full effect, and now you're sitting inside of the detox program and they're only going to keep you for a few days.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe at least until after the storm passes.
Yeah.
But how are you deciding what's next in that moment?
So I was actually I had no idea, and one of the staff members, they bring you in the office and they try to figure out like where they can direct you. Is there some sort of long-term treatment that they could get you hooked up in? And one of the things that at that point I knew was, and this was tough because a big part of that story too is the fact that by the time got to this point, I had a wife and 2 kids, 2 and 4 at the time, that have also been essentially kind of moved away from me, just for their own well-being and welfare. And so one of the things I knew I probably needed to get away from the area. Like, I needed a hard reboot and restart. And but I just wasn't really ready to commit right away. And they said, well, hey, there's this place called The Bridge. And at that time, The Bridge was, and it might still be there. What's the one?
It's the one in Oakboro.
in Oakboro.
The
Yep.
safe house. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I got sober too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I forgot that you landed first in
yeah.
the safe house at the
So I
bridge.
went there trying to find somewhere for me to go, and then they told me about at the time BCRC, and they were like, "Well, look, it's awesome place near the beach, good times." He was like, "If you're gonna get sober, great opportunity." He was like, "And I think they might have a bed coming up, so just hang tight." So I was like, "All right." So I did, and that's how I ended up coming out here in Charlotte, or I guess in Ash, is where that campus was.
And you
And
had two kids,
yep,
and a big part of your story is that your relationship with your kid's mom and the two kids was
mm,
really strained at this point.
100%.
So much to the point where one of the things that I always hearing about your story kind of takes people back is that they had said just go,
Right.
don't call, don't write, none of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't looking for any child support. She was just begging me to not communicate anymore because
Yeah,
she didn't want to go through it herself. Again, she didn't want the kids to have to constantly experience me in and out and all the just misery that brought to the table. And all of that pain too was just like tremendously instrumental, when it comes to the surrendering and turning your life over. um, I know everybody has a different path, but I think a lot of it's the same. You have to, for a successful life change, you have to be stripped all the way down. I mean, you can't turn some of it over. You truly have to turn your entire life over. And I needed all that pain, and knowing that I had these two beautiful kids that I looked at and just adored. And that wasn't enough for me to be able to like stop and straighten up and turn things over. You hear all the people like, well, he has these, precious babies at home. Like, how can that not be enough for him?
yeah,
And I get it. I get the question because the entire time I'm going through it, I'm asking myself the same thing. When I can stand looking in the mirror for long enough, I'm asking all those same questions. It's I mean, but removing all that from me and realizing that I officially had given that away, they were gone. Um, I mean, I talk about a rock bottom. It was homeless, no family, no friends. And the only thing that brought any kind of joy to my heart was just taken away. And it was actually like it's funny. I look back at it now, and I'm so grateful for going through all that. I'm so grateful. It's like this tremendous amount of really grace and mercy that God gave me at that time, that I couldn't ever look at it like that in the moment. But I mean, I needed that, like in order for him to save me and for me to just completely do a 180, like I needed all of that to be ripped away.
yeah. How old were Ellie and Maddox?
2 and 4 at that time.
2 and 4. So you got to Brunswick Christian Recovery Centers at the time, and things weren't looking up at all. And as you traveled through the program, you were engaged. You were an easy guy to get along with.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the behind the scenes experiences that really started to reshape your path?
Yeah, I mean, a few things, and it's something that, is what I practice now still, just the life lessons that, you guys instill in the program. And one of them is just really the heart attitude, like that's really what it comes down to. Like you can do all the things you want to, but like the change has to start in your heart. And I think one of the first trivial lessons at the time, it seemed, but something that I still carry with me to this day, was when I was trying to help people and being helpful and trying to do things differently. It was like, what am I looking for in return? I remember like trying to be helpful, seeing all the things that you did for so many people and knowing all the things you had on your plate. whenever it was like laundry time, sometimes I would jump in there and take some extra initiative, and I'd try to help you out. Your
Yeah, you
clothes were in the
would.
dryer, I'd fold, just little things like that, selfless things. But then I had to really focus and check myself and make sure I was doing those things for the right reason. Like, was I needing that outside approval, or was I just trying to do something different and actually be a different person?
Yeah, well, and starting to get to that place to where you started to even question. Most people under exaggerate the power of what you're describing because there's an elevation in your spirit that starts to take off when you start to be inclined to try to see the selfish and self-seeking ways, and starting to isolate those kinds of behaviors where you've always been me first.
Yeah,
It's not about the idea of is my heart right? It's am I questioning this enough to where I'm even interested to see my heart position?
yeah,
And a lot of people don't realize that that is what wellness begins to look like from the inside out. I remember that a lot of pressure you put on yourself oftentimes was like, am I doing these things to be seen? Or am I doing these things because my heart's changing? Just because you're contemplating that in a truly, hey, I want this to be for the right reasons type of way, means your heart's changing. It means the desires of your heart are changing. But it is tough to be in that spot to where you want it, you want to be a different person so bad,
yeah,
but then you can't trust you because of how much of a track record of being a piece of crap that guys like
yeah,
me and you have been in.
100%.
And that in itself is a journey, to
Mhm.
go through that exercise and to start to truly find out what it looks like to live a lifestyle that's more altruistic than it is self-seeking.
Yeah,
They got themselves stuck, many of them, inside of the programs, and they'll travel through it. When they reach the other end of it, they ask themselves what's truly changed. And they can't oftentimes look at tangible things, but hopefully their heart posture has. When I was sitting in the office one day and I got the call, and I knew what situation you were in.
mm,
I knew you were in the spot. I knew that your Ellie and Maddox's mom, I knew that she had said, don't write, don't call, you know, don't, we just don't want it,
yeah,
don't send any notes. And we didn't think, we didn't think that things were going to happen to where you were going to have an open door so quickly, but I remember the call that came in, and I was sitting in there and I answered the office phone. It was, hey, is it true that Aaron is an LDI intern there?
mm,
And yeah, it's true. Well, will you tell him to reach out to me because his kids would love to hear from him?
yeah.
How many months in was that? Whether I got that call? I mean, you had already finished the 90 days.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 4 or 5 months, maybe
Wow.
something like that.
So
And it followed the knock on the door from the local sheriff's office,
yeah,
which
bring us
looking.
back there. Talk to us about that.
so
Don't let
so
us skip over that.
yeah, no, so like as things are starting to work for you, right, and you're not expecting things like that to come along and the good things yet. I see a sheriff coming here, and most guys, when they're in this position and you're coming out of the life that you just lived, you see a sheriff, and you're just like, "Yep, they found me."
Yeah.
And at this
There's
point,
I missed a court date.
yes,
There's something like every knock at the door,
I,
you're getting anxious.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was, but I was like, "Yep, here it comes,"
Yep, here it
And
comes.
so, and it actually was for me, but I was actually being served divorce papers. So if things weren't going great enough, like here was this that I get to deal with, and I mean, again, what a blessing that I was where I was at when I got to experience that. But at the time, that's not how it felt, trying to do things right, making all these strides, I think, and then, hey, by the way, your wife wants a divorce. So fast forward from that to getting the call that you're talking about. And one of the things I wrestled with was whether or not, and it wasn't divorce, it was like separation papers, right? We're leading to divorce. And one of the things was me like giving away my rights to like all the decision making stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so I
Signing rights over
signing the rights
for
over.
Ellie and Maddox.
Yep. And I sat there and I spoke with you. I spoke with another pastor that was there at the time. And one of the things you said to me, and this was again one of the things that really started changing the projection of my life was when you asked me the question, what can you currently do for those kids right now where you sit? And it wasn't much. What kind of decisions can you really add value to by contributing to at this point in your life? And it wasn't much. And so you just said maybe this would be one of your first opportunities to put your faith in God and not put your faith in what you feel. Like inside, I was feeling, I can't sign my rights over. I'll never see him again. They're going to completely be taken away from me. And you were like, well, why don't you just like show that your faith isn't in Aaron and put your trust in God and make this decision solely based on the fact that he can do all things. And so to make things a selfless decision, to make things easier for her so she can make all the necessary decisions with schools and all the different things, I signed that paper. And I was mad. Gosh, I hated you for that.
I remember.
I really did.
You just cold shouldered me.
It was a bad time. I knew I made the wrong decision, right? But like while I was making it and understanding that I probably had been nothing or done nothing but make bad decisions to this point in my life, I was like, Lord, I'm giving this to you. I'm doing this. It's not what I want.
Yeah,
but
gritted teeth.
But here you go.
Yeah.
And so I did. And no sooner did I do that, maybe a month later, I get that phone call, and clearly the Lord did something in her heart to prompt that, and that's kind of when the restoration process started. But before it started, I had to surrender, like all the way,
Wow. They got this thing. You were trying to see if you were doing things for the right reason. You're saying, is my heart right, or am I doing this to be seen? And then this opportunity comes, and you truly get to do something through gritted teeth. Like there is no reward on what you did signing those kids. Like it was all pain. Um, but what I see and what I often see through folks is that surprises you that you were able to go through that exercise of faith. You know who else it really surprised? Ellie and Maddox's mom. That they didn't get the kicking and the screaming or the old version of it. Like Aaron, for the first time, maybe ever, sat down and said, you know what? Reality says that I'm not able to fulfill my responsibilities right now for my kids. Let me not let other people suffer the burden of that while they try to navigate things for them. For the first time in your life, maybe altruism caught you. And brother, you were upset.
No.
You were really upset. And I know that it was a wrestle for you. And dude, I gotta say, it was painful. Forget about the wrestle thing. It was like pain that you were having. I know that you weren't sleeping good at night because of it. But the call no sooner came in, and she says, is it true yeah, it's true he's here. I please ask him to call us. His kids would like to hear from him. And it felt like no sooner later than that, couple months later, you were scheduling your first beach visit. How did that happen? How did all of that come to be?
Well, and talk about, I mean, like one of my life verses, like God works all things for the good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. I mean, nothing's been truer 10 years ago than today, right now, that like I just see that played out over and over and over. If you're called, if you're according to his purpose, right? So as we're going through that, she schedules the visit. Just another amazing thing happens, like us being from Charlotte, me leaving from Charlotte and coming here, her not knowing where I went, me not knowing anything about what she has going on. She wants an opportunity for me to see the kids, and it's because she gets word that I'm there, and lo and behold, during our separation, she has moved to Hampstead, which it was about an hour away. So here I go thinking like I'm signing the rights to my kids off, and not only does she call to extend that olive branch, but they're right down the road, you know, and it was a day's trip. And another guy that was in the program, Tim, um, you and him got together and was like, yeah, take Aaron to go see his kids. And arriving to that point, um, that first moment I saw him, right, it was like just nonstop tears for like the entire hour
Yeah.
or couple hours that like we spent together. And we went and got him, took him to the beach. Um, and but I'll tell you one of the hardest things,
Yeah, tell me.
being that my daughter at the time was 2. Um, it was almost, I mean, we were separated for like 9 months, you know, and there was a little bit of looking at me like there's something about this guy I like, but there's also a lot of unfamiliar stuff going here, you know, and and that was tough and that was humbling, and it was another thing that just, I mean, it was just another opportunity. And that's all it really was an opportunity, because now that 2 and 4 year old that I rekindled with, they don't remember any. I mean, talk about a blessing. They don't remember
They're so young.
anything of who I used to be.
Yeah.
All they know is who I've been in their life for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and not everybody has that chance, but again, it's just, I mean, it's another blessing, but everybody has a chance like that, right? There's something going on in their
There's some
life
version of that
that
chance.
they have an opportunity, if they choose to surrender now, they have that story too.
That's
It might not
absolutely
look
true.
exactly the same, but they all have that same opportunity.
Talk to me about your family today. Tell me about over the last 10 years God's challenged you. You've had to obviously rebuild. And you really did rebuild from the bottom. You
Hmm.
know, you had to go out and start a new career, a
Yeah.
new occupation. Um, and it hasn't been easy work, but it's been really
Mhm.
meaningful work. Talk
Yeah.
to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, just from a family standpoint, I mean, like you said, it was starting from scratch, you know. Um, I left, one of the reasons why I left CRCI when I did was because I needed to and wanted to move closer to my kids, and I wanted to get a job that was going to lead me to be able to do that, you know, and get a place to where they can actually come and start visiting. And as soon as, I mean, a lot of communication between my ex-wife and I, and the more effort I put into it, right? Um, the more she gave, you know, and soon, I mean, I was getting the kids every other weekend. We never had a formal court agreement. Keep in mind, to this day, I don't have any technical rights to my children, but
They're very
it,
much in your life.
they're very much in my life, you know. Sporting events, like all the things. I mean, during the summer, like they're with me for like weeks at a time, you know, and it's just been I mean, it's just been amazing. Like God gave me a relationship with them that there was just no chance I was ever gonna have, you know. Like the way they look at me, the way they call me, the way I'm able to support them now, it's just an absolute miracle that like the same dad that they had then, is what I am now in their life.
And you also got some new additions to the team.
I mean, again, the Lord just every time I think that he couldn't do something greater, like he just shows me something else, you know. And it was actually my high school sweetheart also just happened to, thanks God, happened to like be in this vicinity as well, right? So then we rekindled this 25-year-old flame.
Which
Um,
normally we wouldn't, just everyone, so folks know, normally in recovery, when we
yeah.
hear that, Brooks, you're a beautiful person, you're a gem. But normally when we hear
Yeah.
that, you know, he's in the 1 percentile of this thing going really good.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And can I tell you though?
Yeah,
And
frame it up.
even though she was an amazing person, and she is, right? She's like the absolute, what the only thing God could have given me to work, like she's it, you know?
Yeah.
Everything about her compliments me so much. And so, but to your point, because of the because of all of the work that I put in early on in BCRC, I knew for a fact that I was traveling down a dangerous road. And I even knew it wasn't the right road. And I
Yeah.
believed it. And you can, she will tell you that during the whole like dating process and all the things we were doing, I was like, this is a bad idea. I can't screw this up, you know? And yeah, I mean and that's the only thing I think, and the grace of God, but that's the only thing that kept it from not blowing up
Yeah.
is because I had a full awareness of what the right decision was.
Yeah.
And so, to quote Beyonce, I put a ring on that thing as soon as I could, and made things right before
made
God.
things right before God. There you go.
And I
And God's grace caught you in that moment. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
not about a perfect experience or re-entry
Yeah.
to all of these things. It's about, no, I'm a man of conviction, and I know that, hey, when I make missteps, I know how to make matters right.
Yeah.
And God's full fulfillment of your family restoration happened with your new little
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, Gates. I mean,
Well, he's not new anymore. Gates
yeah,
is
no,
like 5.
Gates is 4 now.
4.
And I mean, yeah, what a blessing. And I'll tell you another thing. With that time that I missed in Maddox and Ellie's life, you know, which thankfully it was a short time, but it was time that you can't get back. And like, you know, I mean, just what an amazing thing God did by giving me Gates and giving me another opportunity to experience those years of life, you know, that I missed with my other two. And it, not that it replaces that, but he gave me another opportunity.
He gave you another opportunity.
And
So God is a God of restoration.
yeah. Now, if you look at this right here on my face, opportunities aren't always easy. As last night, I was sitting here and I'm like, you looking forward to coming out here and doing this? And Gates and I are out in the front yard throwing the baseball, and he wants to bat. I'm like, yes, let's do it. He's doing great. Like, I'm just pitching, he's hitting. I mean, for 4, it's pretty miraculous. He's got a talent. And so we're walking in the house. Brooks is like, hey, come get something to eat. And then I'm walking behind him, and for some reason, he takes that baseball bat and just chunks it right behind his head. I mean, with as much strength as he could.
That's a 4-year-old.
And I was there to catch that aluminum bat right to the face.
Yeah, for those of you who can't see, he's got the Nelly thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw him, I thought he was trying to be like Nelly with the Band-Aid. Yeah.
No, I talked with John, found out that people are going to think I have a homie doing a stint in prison, which I might, but that's not where this came from.
I might have a homie doing a stint in prison.
Yeah, but this was just this was in the act of love.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, parenting, being a good, engaged dad, it comes with the bumps and the bruises.
Yeah.
LJ, he will just run up and he will punch me in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty unbelievable. Like, I have to tell him to stop soon because he used to just do it and it would be like nothing.
Yeah.
Now he's making me dizzy. But he's tough, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we play like that. Now, the thing you got to remind him of is don't do your mom like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
So the real version that I love to tell people, this is the hook to my entire story, is the guy who sat on the front row came in. I don't know how God aligned all of it. I was preaching on God as a God of restoration, and you shook your head no in the chapel service. And of course, I'm risen this thing up a little bit. Like, I'm definitely, making it a good story. But there were definitely.
I even like to hear the new version now.
Yeah.
Like, the more I get to hear it.
Yeah, there's like this thing of like where you were disagreeable.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
You were there and you were like, yeah, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
But now you're in it,
Yeah.
and you get to come back and tell your story about things like this because God is a God of restoration.
100%. And not only that, but all the different opportunities that continue to present themselves, things that I wouldn't imagined I'd be able to experience, just as little as the things that I've been asked to do in my church. There's been a few occasions where I've led a Bible study, and in that Bible study that I led, it was a small men's group, and just happened to be the pastor of our church was one of the guys in there, right? And so, like, talk about a surreal experience when the guy that was like homeless shooting dope on the corner is now leading the men's Bible study with his
Yeah.
pastor sitting next to him. I mean, it's a pretty incredible thing, right? And the it just shows like what God is able to do with you. One of the my favorite things I get to do right now is I lead a team of like it's a few different churches in Wilmington, and we go into the New Hanover County Jail and lead a Bible study on Tuesday nights. And that is just like, I mean, it was my calling, right? Like the group of guys that go with, they all bring a lot of different things. Some of them more on the scholarly side, but and to not take anything away from them, because like I love going with them, and I love all what they bring to the table. But when I go in that room and talk to those guys, like they know that like I was just sitting where they were not too long
Not too
ago,
long ago.
and I just like we bounce things off, and it's just like I leave there, and I know I leave with receiving way more out of that little Bible study than they ever did, you know? I mean, sometimes I'll leave there and I didn't know I was bringing that little message in, and on my way home I'm like, "Okay, God, so that's what you were trying to tell me."
That's incredible,
Um,
man. There is one problem. You've been so blessed in your career and occupation that I can't afford you. So that's a problem, isn't it?
I mean, it's another crazy blessing, you know. I've been just nonstop promoted with the company I am, and it's just another God thing though, because um, to have the position I do with the company I'm at, I'm not qualified. I didn't have any of the appropriate training somebody would need to have that kind of position. No background in dealing with finances, really managing people. And then like in 7 years, like I found myself coming in as like low man on the totem pole to vice president of operations of a pretty successful company. And again, but it was all arranged by God. I mean, I had to be at the right place with the right company, with the right family, the team that like he had there waiting for me. As long as I continue to just surrender to like
You're
what he
faithful.
wants me to do, you
Yeah.
know?
Isn't that the
I mean, he
example?
just like just takes it.
Yep. It's the example of faithfulness.
Yeah.
You know, something, especially our generation, we miss the mark on. We expect things to happen in our lives so quickly, you
Hmm.
know, but we've really lost the value in staying consistently faithful to rebuilding and allowing God the opportunity to direct those steps. That's what he did for you. And that could be, you know, I don't know. Is that why Hurricane Matthew came? I don't know. You know, it did some damage. It would be interesting to think if God allowed all of those insurance claims to pop off just so that we could get Aaron Martin sober
Yeah.
and well and serving the Lord. But regardless,
I always knew I was special,
I always knew I was
you know?
special. God.
I
It
mean,
is so important
yeah,
that God sent
needed a
Hurricane
hurricane. Yeah.
Matthew to get you well. Well, brother, I'll tell you, every time I hear it, it just never gets old. I'm so encouraged by you, and I'm so proud of you. And I just love you, your family. I'm your biggest fan,
Yeah.
man. I want you to keep
Back at
on
you.
winning, and you will. So thank you for coming to share this story today. Folks, thanks for tuning in with us. You got to hear today from Aaron Martin. He found God through a hurricane. And not everybody can say that.
Barefoot.
Barefoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was barefoot and found God in the hurricane. Hurricane Matthew. For
Mhm.
more stories like this, you're going to tune in with us next time. We'll see you next week.